So welcome to this Q&A on helping your employee get a degree or postgraduate degree with no loans. These Q&As are brought to you with support of Barclays Eagle Lab, and I'd like to invite Naomi Muston, who is the Ecosystem Manager in Brighton. Naomi, could you say a few words about how you and Eagle Labs can help businesses?
Of course, thank you, Sarah. Good morning. As Sarah mentioned, my name is Naomi. I'm the Ecosystem Manager of the Eagle Lab in Brighton, home to the Chamber as well, which is very exciting. We support startups, entrepreneurs and established businesses to innovate and grow through emerging technologies. We provide support with mentoring, access to mentors, investors, also connections to the wider ecosystems across our 28 Eagle Labs. What we do and the support we offer is completely free outside of our co-working, and we are offering Chamber members 1 month's free membership as well, which is great. If you're struggling with any element of your business or would like to understand more about how we can support you, please reach out to a member of the Chamber team or to me directly on email or via LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thanks, Naomi. So I'm delighted to be able to introduce Robbie Vella, Head of Marketing for Business and Employability at the University of Brighton, Jerry Oughton, Business Development Advisor for Apprenticeships, and Dr Charlotte Meierdirk, Apprenticeship Lead for the School of Business and Law at the University of Brighton. As employers, we are always looking for ways to retain and motivate our team. What can we offer that will benefit employees and also businesses? The University of Brighton has an attractive answer to this. There are a wide range of higher level degree and postgraduate degree programs, from the senior leader postgraduate diploma based on the MBA program to civil engineer degree, analytics master's degree and more. As an employer, you would offer some hours towards study and your employee gains a valuable qualification and plenty of relevant new skills, with 95 to 100% of the learning fees funded. During this next 60-minute session, we'll be discussing degree apprenticeships, how your organisation and your team can benefit from them and how to apply. So Robbie, could you talk to us a bit about why a business would investigate the degree apprenticeship programme as an option to retain and motivate their staff?
Certainly can, Sarah, thank you. Yeah, degree apprenticeships are a great way to actually motivate your existing staff. Yes, you can take on new staff with a degree apprenticeship, but a lot of our employers are actually using them because they recognise they've got a really excellent talent pool of skilled staff that already know the business, they already know the staff, and basically they prefer to develop from within. Firstly, it hugely lessens risk, and you're basically motivating your workforce by investing in them, and that tends to produce very, very motivated staff. So yes, basically you've got your talent pool that you can develop at very low or even no cost in terms of education fees. You're reducing risk, but in addition to this and motivated employees, you also get a benefit to the business in terms of innovation. Now, I'm sure Charlotte can talk to you about this a lot more later, but basically all of the project work that people do when they're on an apprenticeship is linked closely to their jobs. So the projects often come up with, often result in real innovations for the business. This could be sort of financial innovation, it could be new products, it could be new ways of doing things. You know, we've seen a lot of this. And in fact, one of our apprentices won Apprentice of the Year last year for an innovative it was a blood test that she developed for COVID admissions into hospital, and this came about as part of her apprenticeship. I say we've got quite a few of those. So yes, as I say, I'm sure Charlotte.
Brilliant, thank you. And could you talk a bit about what's in it for the employee?
Yeah, certainly. Well, like I said, I mean, basically the employee gets to, they get to study for a real degree, because these are degree apprenticeships which lead to real degree qualifications, just like a traditional route, but the mode of getting there is different. And so really what's in it for the employee is that they get no fees, because these are funded by the employer or government or both. And as I say, they get a real real qualification at the end of it, and often a business qualification to go with it.
So they would obviously be earning a salary during the time they would be doing their degree.
Yes, indeed. So basically, there is a national apprenticeship wage, which is based on the national living wage, but it's an employer's discretion. So if you have existing employees that you want to pay either, living wage or whatever wage you were paying them beforehand, it's basically up to the employer's discretion to decide what wage they're paid. Yeah.
Right. And so what are degree apprenticeships?
Okay. Well, like I said, basically a degree apprenticeship is a degree, just the same as any other degree. It's a high quality learning program, but basically it is within a job. So basically the whole degree program is actually a job which contains an education and training program, which runs alongside. So employers are basically employers have to give 20% of the time over to study. That could be 1 day a week, it could be blocks, once a month or something. I think all of the programs are different. A lot of them do tend to be 1 day a week, but that's not set in stone as long as it's 20%.
Fantastic, thank you. And so who would be eligible to do a degree apprenticeship?
Well, almost anybody. I mean, anybody who basically can pass the entry requirements. I mean, as I said, these are degrees, just like the other degrees that we and other universities offer. And so whatever the entry requirements are, they're normally the same for apprenticeships. However, because the study mode is different, often the progression routes into degree apprenticeships can sometimes be more flexible. So basically you can get onto a degree apprenticeship with either academic qualifications or technical qualifications and a level of experience. And most interestingly, there's no upper age limit. So our apprentices, we've got apprentices that have come on age 17 and they range right up to age 61.
Right, gosh, fantastic. Such a good opportunity. And have you got some examples for us of degree and postgraduate programs that are currently available?
So the university's been offering apprenticeships since 2016. We started off with 2 pathways in health. Basically, that was 5 years ago, and now we offer 19, and there are more in the planning. So basically, we have got 8 degree apprenticeships. Well, these are higher end degree apprenticeships. Most of them are degree apprenticeships. We do have one, the assistant practitioner and nursing associate, which is at level 5, so that is a diploma. But apart from that, I believe they're all degree apprenticeships. So basically there are 8 programs in health and science. Those are assistant practitioner, nurse associate, advanced clinical practitioner, occupational therapist, healthcare science, and healthcare science. That's basically the program that the apprentice was on that I mentioned earlier, that won Apprentice of the Year for her innovative blood test, and podiatry. Oh, also social worker and radiographer, and I believe there are more coming. Now in business, we've got an interesting clutch of programs in business. So there's the Senior Leader Apprenticeship Program, which is based on the university's very long-running and successful MBA program. There's the Digital and Tech Solutions Data Analytics Masters, Solicitor Apprenticeship, and the Professional Accountant. Now, all of those 4 are postgraduate level. Then we've got a new clutch of programs in construction and environment. So civil engineer, chartered town planner, chartered surveyor, environmental practitioner, and construction site manager. Those are all fairly new. And then we've got the teacher apprenticeship, which has been running for about 4 years now, and is very highly successful. That's always pretty much full.
Fantastic. There's a really big spread there. So much really is something for everybody to look at there, isn't there?
Exactly, and there are more coming, Sarah. I mean, basically, when businesses are talking to us, it often sparks plans for new apprenticeships, because these are all driven by what's needed in the marketplace. They're driven by employers telling us that they want these apprenticeship routes to these qualifications.
Fantastic, thank you. So could you talk a bit about how it works in practice? I think you said that most of them start in September.
They do, but our apprenticeships are fairly flexible. I mean, Charlotte's programme, for example, is recruiting, I think it's recruiting now, isn't it? And it recruits right up to...
We just had a January start date. So we have a January start date and a September start date for the senior leadership degree. To be fair, a lot of the undergraduate degrees are just once a year. It depends on the structure of the course. But a lot of postgrad you can join at both sections. And just to not to correct Robbie slightly, but the accountancy qualification actually starts at level 4. So it's undergraduate. You start at an undergraduate and you go on to postgrad. Whereas, and that's the same with the solicitor apprenticeship, but with the senior leadership apprenticeship, that is postgrad. So that is a 2-year course. So usually students come with a degree or the equivalent of a degree, but with the solicitor and the accountancy one, that starts at level 4. So but ends at postgrad because of the nature of those qualifications. Sorry, Robbie, I didn't mean to.
Fantastic.
I knew I needed you here because I'm doing top level.
Yes,
yeah, it's good to have the nitty gritty. Yes.
So they do vary is the answer, Sarah. I mean, as you heard from Charlotte, they vary. I mean, I think our nurses start in February, our teachers start in May, June. Some of them roll on and off, but others because others run alongside the traditional degree or postgrad program, in which case they are September starts and they do follow each other along exactly. Yeah, I mean, so typically they're 3 or 4 years, but I'm sure we have exceptions to that. In fact, yes, we do. Employers basically, as I've already said, they're required to give 20% of time off the job for study, and it doesn't really matter how that 20% is configured. This can be an existing employee or a new hire. And basically, employers can claim between either 95 or, in most cases, 100% of the education and training fees, either from their own digital levy pot or from their own digital account. That if you are a large organisation that has a levy, you can claim 100%. If you're a smaller organisation that does not pay into the levy, you can claim 95% doing it yourself, or you can organise levy transfer with a large organisation that hasn't spent their levy and get 100% paid. And Jerry will be able to tell you more about that in detail. Okay.
And Robbie, what about additional incentives from government? Is there anything that employers should be aware of?
Well, yes. There have been some absolutely brilliant incentives recently. I'm very sorry to say some of them are nearing the end. So what has been available, I mean, these change all the time. So it could well be, that in a couple of months' time, something else pops up. But for the moment, basically, there is the £1,000 incentive, which has always been for a new hire apprenticeship under the age of 19. So if you're taking on an 18-year-old, basically you will just get £1,000, which is an incentive. It's a gift. You can spend it on anything you want. It doesn't have to go towards training. Or you can also get that £1,000 if you're employing somebody who's under 25 and they've got an education, health and care plan, or they've been in the care of their local authority. So care leaders, basically. Now, even better than that was the £3,000, which was available. It is still just about available. Basically, if you employed an apprentice between the 1st of October and the 31st of January, as in next week, basically, and they started an apprenticeship, or you're planning to start them on an apprenticeship before the end of March this year, you can still apply for that £3,000 funding, and you'd have to apply by the 15th of May. So it's just about there still. If you've employed somebody and you intend to put them on an apprenticeship programme before the end of March, you can get the £3,000.
Fantastic. So coming to you, Charlotte, could you tell us a bit about your role at the university and perhaps how you've seen businesses benefit from having a degree apprentice?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. So I'm at present I'm the course leader for this MBA courses in Brighton School of. We've just changed our name, so I think it's Brighton School of Business and Law. I think that's what we're calling it at the moment. So I'm a principal lecturer at the university. I've been in charge of the postgraduates and a number of other courses, but at the moment I'm in charge of the MBAs. as some of you will know here, the Senior Leadership Degree Apprenticeship has actually changed in the last few years. Originally, it was actually a full MBA, and then the government and various institutions kind of made us change it slightly. So it's now the Postgraduate Diploma in Leadership. Postgraduate Diploma in Leadership, which is pretty much 2/3 of an MBA. So that's what you get alongside the Senior Leadership Apprenticeship. And we do have students that have now started the new version of the apprenticeship. If they want the full MBA, they can attain the full MBA. So it's just that it won't all be paid for by their levy. So 2/3 will be paid by the levy. They get postgraduate diploma in leadership, and either they exit with that, which they do exit, but they can actually then do the dissertation and another module to make it into a full MBA. And that costs, so I will just ramble on until you stop me with Sarah, by the way. You tell I'm a lecturer. And that costs about £5,600, that top up at the moment. That changed every year, but that's roughly what it is. But that
there'll be a lot of value before doing that, wouldn't
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The only part you don't do is the dissertation, the individual part. The modules that you do in the postgraduate diploma in leadership is so you look at human resources, you look at finance, marketing, because what we're looking at quite middle management really within organizations. So if we have a good 50 apprentices on the course as it stands right at this moment in time, and they vary from middle management, senior management. You have to have at least 3 years degree of management to actually apply for the course, but there's plenty that have more. And that's the great thing of it, is that you're in a classroom. Now we're actually in the classroom again. We're in the classroom, in the classroom with 30 other middle and senior managers. And although we go through all these different theories and we do the application, as Robbie was quite rightly saying, they learn a lot from each other. A lot from what other organizations, so for example, if you take restructuring, well, everyone has gone through restructuring usually at some point and can reflect upon it. So there's a lot of reflection, a lot of learning within the group, a lot of contacts. So there's more than just learning the theory and coming out with postgraduate diploma in leadership. So we have organizations that use it for their leadership and management training, because I'm sure, as you know, and Chris will know, and Laura and yourself, Sarah, that actually there's the proportion of accidental managers is very high. So we have a lot of big proportion of managers, and especially in public service organizations, but also private, where they've been promoted because they're very good at their job, but that may not necessarily mean they're good managers. They're not necessarily the same thing. And I won't say if we see that at university or not, but at university, you could, for example, you could be head of a whole school because you are really good at writing journal articles, and and you're very good, and your knowledge is incredibly good at a very specific subject, but that doesn't always make it that you're really good at management. And you see that a lot in various organizations. So what we do is we get a lot of organizations that then use the senior leadership route to actually take those very specialized and knowledgeable people, and we teach them the management and leadership and the different
great
approaches
managers
to it.
and leaders.
Absolutely, because it's not the same thing. Yep, go ahead.
From the perspective of the employee who has got a full, a pretty full-on job. Okay, they might be being given a bit of time to, a day a week or whatever, and they're entering a postgrad and leadership course, which is at the university, again, probably quite demanding and full-on. So how do they cope with that? I mean, do you find that they...
During COVID, quite badly, actually. So it has been quite tricky the last few years, I have to be honest. I think our degree apprenticeship, because we're looking at middle and senior managers, and they really got squeezed, especially in the NHS, etc., during the last few years. Do you know what? But it's amazing how many of them did cope very well, because generally they're multitaskers, and they can get through.
From what I see in my job at the chamber, that actually there's something very inspiring and motivating about being with your peer group.
Absolutely,
people who are, you can talk to about the issues that you have. It's actually it's quite a support as well as being quite inspiring.
Yes, yeah, and I've just finished teaching a 5-day block with the students actually, and the big issue at the moment, and across all the senior leadership degree apprenticeship students, is workforce and just not having the people, just huge gaps in the workforce, and what different areas, and it doesn't matter where they're from, the healthcare, construction, engineering, all of them are experiencing exactly the same thing. And actually we had some really good discussions about across those, what they're doing, how they're planning their workforce, and actually what's interesting, a lot of them who are on the apprenticeship are going to use apprenticeships to try and fill some of those gaps. Yeah. So if you take, for example, I actually teach one of the head of apprenticeships for West Sussex Council in building and engineering. She's actually doing her dissertation looking into how she can fill the massive shortage they've got in engineering and road engineering. Apparently road engineering isn't very sexy to 18 and 19-year-olds. So they're trying to find out a way to make it more approachable to them. And actually one of the things they're looking at is apprenticeships. So actually it's really interesting, that group reflection that they, even, no matter where they come from. Yeah. So actually, I think actually there was another question you had, I haven't answered it, Sarah, which is what do they bring back to the company? Well, they bring ideas, they thoughts, different ways of approaching things, because so many people have been at organizations, quite a while. They're institutionalized, departmentalized. It's learning different approaches, thinking outside the box, how other people do it, how it can be done differently, and bring it back to the organization. I would say if you take look at all my apprentices, I know they're not mine, but I like to call them mine, for the last few years, at least half of them have been promoted in the last, I would say, 3 years.
Great statistic.
And a lot of them will say it's because they are doing this course, even if they haven't finished the course, just the learning. Sometimes you just get into that staleness, don't you? You've been with a company a while and you need something else to give you some inspiration, a boost, see things differently. So I think that's the great thing about these apprenticeships, bring something different to the party.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one of the things that's very noticeable about people that are running or managing small businesses, that one of the things that they have in common is that they love to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's very interesting. And Jerry, anything that you'd like to add about eligibility and being accepted onto the degree apprenticeship program?
Well, the eligibility and the acceptance is all done through the course team. Once an apprentice applies, the applications come to us initially, and I interface directly with the employers to talk around the apprentice that's coming on board. But it's very much, if there's someone that's been in workplace for a number of years and gained a lot of experience behind them and probably previous professional qualifications, the course team may make a decision whether to give them accreditation of prior learning for what they've already completed in the workplace. But as part of the apprenticeship, they'll need to have or achieve during the apprenticeship level 2 in English and maths functional skills, or have those equivalencies already as part of that to achieve the apprenticeship and meet the funding requirements.
Thank you. And how does the levy transfer work for those of us who don't know much about that?
The levy transfer. Yeah, well, basically, employers with a pay bill of 3 million will pay into the apprenticeship levy at the rate of 0.5%, and that goes directly into a government pot. And that employer will have what's called a digital apprenticeship service, or a DAS account. Where employers have got a wage bill of less than 3 million, they can apply for the apprenticeship levy transfer, and they would set an account up again separately for apprenticeship levy transfer, and then seek to partner with an employer that hasn't used their levy funds up. And we use West Sussex County Council a lot because they've not used their levy funds. I know East Sussex County Council has got an agreement as well because they don't use all their levy funding as well. So where employers that do pay that levy and don't use it, other employers that fall under that sort of 3 million threshold and don't pay the levy can access funding for apprenticeship themselves. So it's quite a flexible and unique way of getting funding from people who it would have otherwise be absorbed back into the Treasury.
I see. And thinking about progressing, the progression through apprenticeships, Robbie, we've been talking about the degree apprenticeships being the equivalent of degrees and postgraduate master's degrees and a sort of level 5 to 7. But are there examples of where people have started with level 1 and actually moved right through?
Yes, I think we do see various different types of progression. A lot of it, for example, I think in health, certainly in the amongst our healthcare cohorts, we've certainly had people who started off as care assistants who've then moved on to, I think they've often done something around level 3. Forgive me, I can't quite remember, but at sort of technical college level, have then come in to do what is essentially a foundation degree level in assistant practitioner healthcare, and have then actually progressed on to registered nurse. So that's been a progression from experience to through FE college, and then through sort of two programs with us. Most recently, we've had a lovely example of a young man who is on he's construction site manager degree apprenticeship at the moment, and he's progressed all the way from a level 2 in bricklaying, which is an MVQ qualification, and then he did a further level 3, I think, which was that was NVQ as well at a technical college, and he's now on the degree apprenticeship at the university. So there are multiple ways to actually get onto these programs. And I think I know on Charlotte's program, which is postgraduate level, I know you have people on senior leader, don't you, who've basically not got traditional degrees.
Yeah.
And they've got their
We can look at managers who don't have degrees, so they might have A levels or equivalent to level 3s, but because they have professional qualifications that may be kind of equivalent, I can actually look at those and decide whether to take them or not. So we actually have quite a few students who haven't taken what we'd call the traditional academic route. They've gone a different route, and they are very successful students on our courses. The only quantifier would be that if you haven't got your level 2 in numeracy or literacy or maths and English, which is the GCSE level, you would need to do it while you actually study the senior leadership degree. So I had one student last year who I think didn't have GCSE maths and had to do it through the year. And in fact, I've got one this year that will be doing it as well, as alongside the senior leadership degree apprenticeship. But yes, we can take non-standard academic qualifications as well and look at those. Yeah.
Okay, a few last questions then. So can you do an apprenticeship if you have done a degree already?
Could we defer to Jerry on this one? I think most of the time the answer is yes.
I think you've probably answered it, Jerry, but just to be absolutely sure.
You can, in theory, but what happens when we contact an employer that identified people to go on an apprenticeship program? We do what's called a skill scan to find out how much new learning they would be taking on board, and if it was significant new learning, they would be entitled to go on to the apprenticeship and access the funding. Where they'd possibly just completed a degree in the last year and it was fresh knowledge and so on and so forth, there might be a sort of area of grayness in there. But we do what's called a skill scan to see where those gaps are and see what new learning is going to be taken on board, and if it's going to be a significant amount of learning, then yes, we would be able to.
Brilliant. And how much of the, it might be difficult to answer this at the moment, but how much of the learning is in person and how much of it is online at the moment? and is it all real time, or is some of it, doing it in people's own time?
Shall I? I can answer that from my perspective.
Please do, yes.
So this doesn't cover the other degree apprenticeships, but for the senior leadership one, we are now all back face to face. So our teaching is all back to face because we're a face-to-face university. But saying that, we do have a couple of our modules that are called blended modules, and they do have online. Of course, we have loads of online material, a lot more now than we did a few years ago. But so we have a lot of online material, and we do have a couple of modules on the senior leadership that you can take. So if you, let's say if you had to miss a day or miss a session, there is versions to catch up on.
Yeah, excellent.
But generally speaking, we're all, I think across the board, we're all back face to face at the University of Brighton, because we are a face to face university rather than an online one.
I'm thinking about people who have children or nephews or nieces who are wanting to do a degree apprenticeship, but haven't, is there anywhere for them to find where these are advertised, or do they just need to contact companies and in the hope that and ask if they are offering them?
Yeah, there is. I mean, the first port of call really is Find an Apprenticeship, which is the government website. If you just pop that into Google, it should come up tops. It's basically at gov.uk/apply-apprenticeship. It's very easy to find, and any employer that has an apprenticeship on offer, is encouraged to put it there. I can't guarantee that every single one goes there, but that's the place where you put them. But also, I mean, people can approach companies direct. Most certainly they can write to companies and ask if there's any chance of being taken on as an apprentice. Or, I mean, I know a lot of our apprentices have got onto apprenticeships simply because they're already employed, and they simply go and ask their employer whether they will sponsor them. And in many cases, they've been successful.
Yeah. Well, now that perhaps employers are more aware of this opportunity, that it's a great thing, isn't it, to, as we said at the beginning, to motivate and retain
I'll just add to that, Sarah.
Staff.
So even though I do teach some undergraduate, and I have to say, and I teach the foundation degree a bit as well, and I do say to them, why would you come out with £60,000 worth of debt for an undergraduate degree when you can go and get a job and have your employers pay for it through their levy? It just I think sometimes it's because the information isn't there. But actually, I did notice more and more employers are advertising just like on Indeed.com. They just advertise. So if you go on Indeed.com and you just research radiographer apprenticeships, they actually pop up now, because a lot of the companies and NHS will advertise them like a normal vacancy. But I think, obviously not me, but it's only because I've got a 19-year-old who was on an apprenticeship, so I know quite a lot about it from that area. But I said to my children, if there's a degree apprenticeship in it, go do it, because then I don't have to pay for it. So,
well, and also you have you can be working at the same time, which can be a great thing.
Absolutely. So you don't just come out with £60,000 worth of debt. You come out at the end with no debt, a salary, and 3 or 4 years worth of work experience. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer, but
well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up. So we don't have any more questions at the moment, but as I said, we will be sharing your details for people to follow up if they do have more questions. So for those of you who are new to Brighton Chamber, we're a not-for-profit independent membership organisation with the aim of helping people who are running businesses. If you found today's session useful, check out our events calendar. We have a wide variety of in-person and online events to choose from. If you'd like to find out more about how the Chamber could help you, then please email us and we'll arrange a chat. The next Q&A that we have will be on getting to net zero. We have some great bite-sized learning sessions coming up in the next few weeks on a wide variety of topics, from Facebook and Instagram advertising and using TikTok. And Brighton Summit is on the 29th of April. And if you come to one business event this year, make that the one. We'll be sending you the link to these and other events in a follow-up email, along with the details about how to follow up and find out more about degree apprenticeships with the University of Brighton. So that's the end of today's session. I'd like to say a big thank you to Robbie and Jerry and Charlotte, and I look forward to getting updates about what's on offer over the next few months.
Thank you.
I'll see you all again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, bye.